If you are listening to this, it is because you have realized a fundamental truth about the nature of existence that most are too terrified to admit. The world is not a playground, it is a hunting ground. Look around you. The majority of the population moves through life with the glazed eyes of grazing cattle. They are reactive, desperate for validation, and perpetually waiting for permission to exist. They hope for fairness in a world built on leverage. They pray for mercy from systems designed to exploit them. You are not here to join them. You are here because something ancient and dormant within your psychology has finally woken up and refused to crawl. You have come to this specific frequency to learn the language of dominion. Understand this immediately. Power is never a gift given to the deserving. It is a raw asset seized by the strategic. A true predator does not announce his intentions with a roar. He suffocates his enemies with silence. He studies the wind, he calculates the terrain, and he strikes only when the outcome is a mathematical certainty. This is the art of the outcome. This is how kings rise from the mud, not by being the loudest voice in the room, but by thinking 10 moves ahead while the masses are still congratulating themselves on their first step. You are stepping into a mindset where your emotions are no longer your masters. They are your spies. In this domain, patience is a blade, silence is a fortress, and your mere presence disrupts the equilibrium of every room you enter. This is the precise moment where the boy dies and the man is forged. If you are prepared to sever your ties with mediocrity, leave a comment below stating, "I rise by strategy, not by chance." Let the algorithm and the world know that you are done playing the victim, because from this second forward, you will think with the cold precision of a predator and move with the heavy sovereignty of a king. By the time this video ends, you will understand why the truly dangerous men never raise their voices. They simply raise their standards. We begin with the reconstruction of your psyche, the mind of the predator. To operate at the apex of the hierarchy, you must understand that chaos is not something to be feared, it is something to be organized. The common man is swept away by the currents of disorder, reacting emotionally to every provocation and slight. The predator, however, stands still within the storm. He does not move because he is angry. He moves because he has analyzed the variables, calculated the probabilities, and eliminated the risks. True power begins in the neural pathways of the mind long before it manifests in the material world. The first step to becoming untouchable is the absolute conquest of your inner battlefield. Most men disintegrate because they negotiate with their own weakness. They debate with their laziness and compromise with their fear. A predator silences these internal dissenters without a trial. He understands that the universe rewards the disciplined and punishes the distracted. You must train your perception to view human beings not as friends, enemies, or lovers, but as pieces on a boundless chessboard. Some are pawns to be sacrificed, some are knights to be utilized, and some are bishops to be blocked. All of them are predictable if you study their patterns. You must become a student of human nature, analyzing their tells, their hidden insecurities, and their blind spots. This is how you seize the advantage without ever lifting a physical finger. Strategy is a language spoken fluently by the elite, and silence is its most devastating syllable. The less you speak, the more you hear. The more you hear, the harder you are to deceive. If you truly grasp that your thoughts must obey your command rather than the influence of the external world, comment below. My mind is my first weapon. From this point on, reaction is dead. Observation, calculation, and decision are the only pulses that beat within you. This is how predators ascend, and it is how kings maintain their crowns. This brings us to the architecture of your reality, the calculated kingdom. A ruler does not stumble upon a throne by accident. He ascends by constructing his reality with surgical intention, shaping every interaction, every alliance, and every profound silence into a tool for his own advancement. You must understand that true domination is rarely loud and almost never impulsive. It is the slow, grinding accumulation of leverage built through observation and restraint. It is the ability to let other men expose their foolishness while you remain an unreadable abyss. A king moves through the world as if time bends to his will, because he never wastes a single unit of energy on noise or battles of ego. He studies the battlefield long before his boots touch the soil, mapping the sources of power, the lines of influence, and the hidden agendas of his rivals. He knows the outcome of the war before the first declaration is spoken. The average man is trapped in a loop of reaction, bouncing off the walls of his own life. The calculated king engineers outcomes by planting seeds of ideas, creating invisible incentives, and allowing others to believe that the choices they made were their own. This is the highest form of control, control that is invisible and therefore unchallenged. You must learn to build your life in this exact manner, brick by cold brick, decision by ruthless decision, until your presence alone shifts the gravity of any environment. Every relationship you hold must serve a distinct purpose. Every alliance must justify its emotional cost. Every conversation must either extract information or reinforce your hierarchical position. A king without a strategy is merely a man wearing a costume he cannot defend. Do not rush toward power. Cultivate it through intention, patience, and absolute mastery over your own impulses. The man who cannot command himself will never command a nation. If you understand that your environment must be engineered rather than endured, you will realize that influence flows from structure, not force. View your life as a territory to be fortified, expanded, and fiercely defended. Move with the cold certainty of a ruler who knows that every step he takes is laying the foundation of an empire that others will fear to challenge. To operate effectively, you must embrace the persona of the strategic shadow. The most dangerous man in any room is never the one pounding on the table, the one laughing the loudest, or the one desperate to be feared. The most dangerous man is the one who watches everything, says little, and reveals nothing. He operates from the periphery, from the shadows, not out of cowardice, but because he understands that true power moves unseen until the exact moment it chooses to strike. To master strategic dominance, you must learn to inhabit that shadowed realm where your perception becomes your armor and your invisibility becomes your tactical advantage. People have a natural tendency to expose themselves when they believe you are harmless, passive, or uninterested. Let them talk. Let them fill the silence with their confessions and their bravado. Let them underestimate you, because their arrogance is intelligence in your hands. A strategic shadow studies the burning ambitions of others, the hairline fractures in their confidence, and the deep-seated insecurities that steer their decisions. He does not confront the noise. He redirects it. He does not challenge fools. He allows them to collapse under the weight of their own recklessness. Control does not come from the application of force. It comes from anticipation, and anticipation is born in the womb of silence. When you become the man who knows everything yet reveals nothing, you become the anomaly that no one can manipulate, pressure, or corner. You must cultivate a presence that is calm, unreadable, and utterly unmoved, because uncertainty makes others cautious, and their caution gives you leverage. Your silence becomes a polished mirror in which others see their own flaws exposed. Your patience becomes a trap they willingly step into. Your restraint is the signal that you are not playing the same game as them. You are the one orchestrating the rules. If you grasp that the shadows are not a place of hiding, but a place of command, comment, "I master the unseen battlefield." Embrace the role of the quiet strategist. Let people doubt your competence. Let them overlook your potential. Let them misread your intentions. Every misconception they hold is a weapon you can use against them. Move with precision, think with cold clarity, and remain unseen until the moment your influence becomes undeniable. This is how shadows shape empires. You must now learn the art of controlled detachment. Power does not belong to the man who feels every vibration of the world. It belongs to the man who feels everything, but is ruled by nothing. Controlled detachment is the discipline that separates the ordinary victim from the untouchable operator. The moment your emotions become predictable, you have handed the strings of your psyche to someone else, effectively making them your puppeteer. A powerful man understands that attachment creates leverage, and leverage in the hands of an enemy, or even a friend, can become a blade against your throat. Therefore, he cultivates a mental coldness. This is not emptiness. It is a clarity that allows him to see people exactly as they are, not as he wishes them to be. He studies their intentions without the fog of assumed loyalty. He accepts their words without believing their promises. He measures their value without losing himself in sentimentality. Detachment is not cruelty. It is the highest form of self-preservation. It is the refusal to let temporary feelings sabotage long-term strategy. Most men crumble because they chase validation like a drug. They react to disrespect with fragile egos, or they cling to connections that drain their vitality. A man practicing controlled detachment can walk away from anything that weakens his focus. He can walk away from friendship, romance, opportunity, and comfort because he understands that a kingdom cannot be built with shaking hands. When you detach, the world creates a high-definition picture. Motives stand out, manipulation becomes obvious, and your decisions finally align with your purpose rather than your fleeting impulses. This does not mean isolating yourself in a cave. It means choosing exactly when and where you allow emotion to exist. You must be warm when it serves your end, cold when required by the situation, and unreadable always. Attachments should be earned through years of loyalty, consistency, and alignment with your mission, not granted by default to whoever happens to be nearby. This is how you protect your energy from parasites and your mind from instability. Emotional discipline is the steel's spine beneath the flesh of power. When you master it, you will notice people respect you more when they realize they cannot shake you. Comment: I choose clarity over chaos. If you are ready to stop reacting, if you understand that every reaction gives someone power and every silence takes it back, you are ready. To cement this power, you must transform your mind and demeanor into an unreadable fortress. You must become a structure so solid, so enigmatic, and so impenetrable that no one can predict your next step or influence your internal state. The average man wears his emotions on his face like a billboard. His fears are in his tone, and his weaknesses are broadcast in his decisions. The man who rises to dominance is the man who gives the world nothing to dissect. When people cannot read you, they cannot control you. They cannot manipulate you because they do not know what buttons to push. They are left guessing, and in the realm of power, uncertainty is a slow-acting poison that corrodes their confidence while sharpening yours. To become unreadable, you must first master the discipline of withholding. Hold your reactions hostage. Let your silence do the heavy lifting. Allow your neutrality to unsettle those who expect emotional theatrics. The moment someone thinks they have figured you out, you must shift your strategy. The moment someone tries to provoke you, you must become stone. The moment someone seeks validation from you, you give them only measured, scarce acknowledgement. Your unpredictability becomes a psychological weapon because the human animal fears what it cannot anticipate. You are not cold. You are controlled. You are not distant. You are deliberate. You are not passive. You are calculating your next advantage while others are foolishly revealing theirs. Think of yourself as a fortress with only one open gate: your purpose. Everything else, your vulnerabilities, your frustrations, your doubts, your attachments, remains locked behind high walls that only you possess the key to. This is how you prevent people from using your humanity as leverage against you. As your emotional opacity grows, people will start projecting their own fears and desires onto your silence, revealing more about their mindset than you ever reveal about yours. They become the open book while you remain the encrypted text. Do not rush to correct their misunderstandings. Do not explain your motives. Do not justify your standards. Explanations dilute authority. Clarity given too freely is a gift to the undeserving. Sometimes the greatest form of dominance is letting others wonder what you are planning. Maintain a calm exterior, even when you are strategizing intensely within. A controlled man appears invincible because chaos cannot penetrate him. Comment: "My silence is my stronghold," if you are ready to close the gates. We now ascend to the power of silent influence. This is the highest form of control because it allows you to shape outcomes without exposing your intention. It is the ability to manipulate the direction of events and guide the actions of others while maintaining the illusion that they are acting of their own free will. True power is never found in raising your voice, demanding obedience, or forcing compliance through physical threat. True power is the ability to bend reality through subtlety, through presence, and through the quiet mastery of human psychology. Most men fail to understand this. They believe impact comes from aggression, confrontation, and loud posturing. But these displays usually reveal deep-seated insecurity, not dominance. A powerful man knows that influence grows strongest in the vacuum of silence, where words are rare and therefore infinitely valuable. It grows when your decisions seem effortless because the groundwork was laid long before you made them. Silent influence begins with self-command, the ability to remain composed under pressure, unbothered by insults, unmoved by flattery, and immune to manipulation. When you refuse to react emotionally, people instinctively recalibrate around you. They sense an authority that does not need to announce itself. You do not chase validation. It circles back to you. You do not explain yourself. They adjust to you. You do not reveal your intentions. They reveal theirs. This reversal of psychological gravity is where mastery begins. To amplify this, you must learn to observe deeply. Study how people speak, how they posture, how they shift when uncomfortable. Every detail is leverage. When you understand someone's insecurities, you understand their vulnerabilities. When you understand their desires, you understand their leash. With this knowledge, you do not need to coerce, you simply guide. You use subtle compliments placed with precision. You use well-timed pauses that create discomfort. You use strategic silence that forces others to reveal more than they intended. People naturally gravitate toward the calm leader in chaotic environments. You must become that gravitational force. You must act with strategic ambiguity, never letting people fully know what you think or what your next move will be. Predictability gives others a blueprint to dismantle you. Ambiguity keeps them cautious. You do not lie, you simply reveal selectively. Let people assume, guess, project, and interpret. Their own minds will do more work for you than your persuasion ever could. Speak in layers, say enough to guide the direction, but never enough for someone to map your full intention. Your presence becomes a puzzle they cannot solve, and in that effort they expose themselves. Silence is not passivity, silence is pressure. You must now learn to navigate the social chessboard of power. Power is rarely taken by brute force. It is taken by positioning, by perception, and by understanding the hidden currents operating beneath every conversation. To master the social chessboard, you must stop moving like an emotional participant and begin moving like a grand strategist, cold, observant, and several steps ahead. Most people move blindly. They talk without calculating the weight of their words. They reveal intentions without realizing those intentions can be used against them. They act before understanding the consequences. You must reverse this. Move through social environments with the mindset of a man studying a battlefield. Every room is data. Every person is an archetype. Every insecurity is an opening. The first rule is to observe before you engage. Watch the dynamics. Who interrupts whom? Who seeks validation? Who competes for attention? Who becomes defensive when questioned? These details reveal rank, ambition, and fear. Once you map these coordinates, you no longer interact blindly. You interact with intention. The second rule is positional dominance. Never place yourself where your presence diminishes your value. Do not chase crowds. Do not linger in circles that drain you. Position yourself so that your presence feels intentional, rare, and therefore valuable. Scarcity increases worth. The less accessible you are, the more people wonder about you. The third rule is to build strategic alliances, not friendships. A strategist surrounds himself with people who serve a purpose. Ask yourself, does this person elevate me? Do they provide access, information, or opportunity? If the answer is no, they do not belong in your inner circle. Alliances are about alignment, not affection. The fourth rule is controlled perception. You must craft the way you appear. People must find you difficult to read but impossible to ignore. Appear competent but understated. This creates psychological gravity. The fifth rule is asymmetrical communication. The less you say, the more others talk. Use questions and silence to draw out information while protecting your own. Every conversation should give you insight while costing you nothing. The sixth rule is the sacrifice move. Know when to give something small to gain something powerful. Let someone else take the credit temporarily. If it builds a debt, they must repay later. Finally, never play on someone else's emotional tempo. The moment you allow another person to set the pace of a conversation, you have surrendered power. Slow the tempo, control the frame. When someone rushes you, wait. When someone pressures you, lean back. The man who controls timing controls the board. This brings us to the foundation of all power, the discipline of relentless self-mastery. The man who seeks to rise into true dominance must first understand that the greatest enemy he will ever face is the one staring back at him in the mirror. Mastery is not a mood or a burst of motivation. It is a long, disciplined transformation that requires eliminating weakness and amplifying strength. Most men fail because they allow comfort to seduce them and impulses to rule them. A man committed to self-mastery becomes a force of nature. He trains his mind to be sharper than doubt and his focus to be more consistent than the world's noise. He understands that discipline is not punishment. It is liberation from the chaos that consumes ordinary men. Self-mastery begins with radical self-awareness, the courage to confront your weaknesses without denial. Identify the habits that weaken you and the fears that limit you. Once seen, they lose their power. Next is emotional regulation. A man who cannot control his anger is predictable. A man who cannot control his desire is exploitable. You must move from strategy, not impulse. You must destroy your dependency on external validation. When you determine your worth internally based on your own code, you become untouchable. Self-trust grows from keeping your word to yourself. It grows from showing up when it is hard and maintaining standards when no one is watching. Over time, this creates an inner authority that cannot be shaken. You must also build a life structure that reinforces your identity. Create routines that sharpen you. Surround yourself only with people who align with your mission. Weak men wait for motivation. Powerful men rely on systems. Consistency is your secret weapon. The average man trains when he feels like it. The master trains because it is non-negotiable. This consistency compounds into a presence others can feel. They sense the discipline in your posture and your stability. They do not know the battles you fought, but they see the strength you carry. You must take radical responsibility. Everything in your life is a reflection of your choices. When you take ownership, you remove excuses and open the door to power. You do not settle, you ascend. You ask yourself daily, how can I become stronger, smarter, calmer? And then you execute relentlessly. We now cultivate the cold advantage of emotional distance. This is a weapon, a shield, and a strategy all at once. Most people live entangled in emotional webs they never question, built on insecurity and the fear of solitude. They do not realize that every attachment is a point of leverage that can be used against them. A man who cultivates emotional distance moves with a clarity others cannot match. He does not detach because he is empty. He detaches because he refuses to allow anyone the power to disrupt his mission. Emotional distance sharpens your perception. When you are not entangled, you see people as they are, not as your feelings paint them. You notice how quickly they change, how eager they are for attention, and how uncomfortable they are with someone who cannot be manipulated. Their insecurities become your map. Emotional distance gives you leverage. While others react, you remain composed. While others panic, you are the calm center. This composure creates authority. In conflict, your silence is unsettling. In negotiations, your patience is lethal. In relationships, your independence is a standard others must rise to meet. This distance protects you from manipulation. Guilt trips, emotional baiting, and passive aggression bounce off you like arrows against steel because there is nothing for them to grab onto. You are not a slave to emotion. You are its commander. You can care without losing control. You can walk away without hesitation. You remain connected by choice, not by need. As your distance grows, your value increases. People sense you are not easily impressed or swayed. They sense that losing access to you is a consequence they cannot undo. You become the one others seek approval from. You become the prize. Emotional distance frees you from the noise, allowing you to focus on your evolution. You rise quietly, steadily, and undeniably into a version of yourself that almost no one can break. Comment: distance gives me dominance if you are ready to sever the strings. Finally, we arrive at the ruler's ascent into untouchable power. This state is not achieved through loud declarations, but through the steady rise of a man who knows exactly who he is. To ascend, you must understand that true dominance is not about controlling everyone. It is about controlling the environment, the narrative, and yourself. A ruler does not chase recognition. Recognition chases him. He does not beg for loyalty. Loyalty forms around him because people instinctively follow the man who follows his purpose. The ascent begins when you stop needing permission. You move with intention. You speak with purpose. You make decisions from strength. You become a gravitational force. You must build a life that supports this, routines that sharpen you, boundaries that protect you, and standards that filter out the weak. A ruler's life is designed, not improvised. He creates strength through consistency and demands clarity through solitude. As you rise, you will notice that the fewer explanations you give, the more authority you project. The less accessible you are, the more you are valued. While the masses engage in petty conflicts, you stand above, unshaken and undeniable. This ascent requires embracing the weight of leadership. You will be doubted and criticized, but you move regardless because greatness does not appease mediocrity. You walk your path with a stoic certainty that radiates through every step. If you understand that untouchable power is the final form of strategic discipline, comment, "I ascend with purpose." Rise not as a participant in the noise, but as the ruler who stands above it. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Your ascension has only just begun.